One of the deadliest conflicts is happening right now, and interestingly enough, you probably haven't heard much about it. Hi, I'm Ines, and let's talk. So today we're going to be talking about the war in the DRC, the Democratic Republic of Congo, which also involved Rwanda, other neighboring countries like Uganda, rebel groups, violence, all of that. Since 1996, over 6 million people have died, yet the world has been pretty silent about it. To understand what's going on in the DRC right now, we have to understand what happened in 1994 in Rwanda, which is a neighboring country of the DRC. In 1994, the Rwandan genocide occurred, during which 1 million Tutsis were massacred by Hutus. Initially, these two groups were only different for ethnic reasons. But when king/dictator, whatever you want to call him, Leopold II colonized Rwanda, he instituted this racial hierarchy between Tutsis and Hutus, basically claiming that Tutsis were elite and superior because of their physical attributes compared to Hutus. In very simple terms, the resentment that was created between those two populations, combined with the violence that was inflicted upon them through King Leopold II, triggered this genocide. Of course, there were many other factors that were involved, but basically that's the story. And so this historical background on Rwanda is very critical to understanding what's going on in the DRC. Fearing retaliation from the new Tutsi-led government in Rwanda, many of the Hutus that were responsible for the genocide flew into neighboring countries in which they regrouped and formed armed militias like the FDLR, which is the Democratic Forces for the Liberation of Rwanda. In response, Rwanda, led by Paul Kagame, the president at the time, pursued them into the DRC, which triggered First and Second Congo Wars from 1996 to 2003. Also known as Africa's World War, they involved 9 African countries, 20-plus armed groups, and millions of deaths. One of these armed groups is known as the M23 movement, which is a Tutsi-led armed group. They perceive themselves as defenders of ethnic Tutsis, claiming to protect their communities from persecution and discrimination, meaning fighting the perpetrators of the 1994 Rwanda genocide, also known as the Hutus. However, and this is the critical part, it doesn't seem like they're just doing that. As of early February 2025, the M23 group has marched into Goma, a city in the northeast of the DRC. Critics argue that the M23 group primarily serves as an extension of Rwanda's strategic interests. And you might ask, why would Rwanda do that? Good question. Goma is a city of 2 million people and is at the heart of a region that is home to more than trillions of dollars of mineral wealth that are used for electronics. For example, we can find a lot of gold, tin, and coltan in those regions of the DRC, which are critical for its economic development. Now, the capture of Goma gives the M23 access to a key smuggling route into Rwanda. A 2024 UN report estimated that almost 150 metric tons of coltan were smuggled into Rwanda last year. That's huge. That's huge. So the UN Security Council, France, the UK, and also the US have all agreed that there are Rwandan troops in eastern Congo, which have deployed high-tech military equipment. And wouldn't you know it, Rwanda has completely denied these allegations and claims not to be involved. The M23 group, meanwhile, is using these conflicts to tighten their grip on mineral extraction. And as a result, Rwanda's influence in the region allows it to dictate terms and benefit economically from the chaos. Now, in a very tit-for-tat fashion, the DRC government has contributed and sponsored the FDLR rebel group to counterforce the M23 movement. And that's quite critical and adds a new layer of complexity to all of this. So I made this diagram to make it easier for you guys. We can see that the Rwandan genocide in 1994 is kind of the root of this ongoing conflict, during which the Hutu perpetrators and the Tutsis, the persecuted, then led to 2 different rebel groups. There are many others. So there's the M23 one, which is Tutsi-led, and then we have the FDLR, which is the Hutu-led rebel group. So as you can see, on the left side, the DRC allegedly contributes and sponsors the FDLR, and on the right side, we have Rwanda sponsoring and contributing to the M23 movement, which is, again, Tutsi-led, and the FDLR is Hutu-led. So as you can see, this isn't just some local conflict. It's actually a proxy war where the 2 states in question are using armed rebel groups to pursue and further their interests. which are both driven by deep-rooted ethnic motivations for fighting against each other. Over the past months, 1 million people have been displaced due to the fighting, and hundreds of thousands of people are living in horrific conditions in the outskirts of Goma. And despite efforts from aid organizations, sexual violence, starvation, and disease, and many more other forms of violence are rampant. The violence has become so bad that it's nearly impossible for international organizations to deliver aid. For example, as part of the South African Development Community, South African troops were deployed into eastern regions of Congo to stabilize the conflict. They faced direct opposition from the rebel groups, and many South African soldiers were killed. As a matter of fact, the UN has tried to stabilize this conflict since 1999 and actually came up with a peacekeeping force called the MONUSCO in 2010. MONUSCO stands for the United Nations Organization Stabilization Mission for the Democratic Republic of Congo and aims to promote peace and protect civilians. However, the effectiveness of MONUSCO is widely debated and criticized within international relations. Overall, the deteriorating security situation has not only limited humanitarian access, but it has also strained diplomatic relations, mostly because countries struggle to determine an effective or morally right response to the ongoing crisis. Let me know if you have any questions, and let's talk soon. Bye!